Against all odds, a testimony of God's faithfulness. Linda came to Bombay with her parents at the tender age of 2. Her small one room home in Bombay was a world of its own. She lived with her parents, her mother being her close confidant. The narrow alleys and cramped spaces were a far cry from the ideal childhood, but her spirit remained unbroken. As she sat on the floor trying to focus on her studies, the noise of children playing and factories humming in the background made it a Herculean task. Yet her determination and innate intelligence, combined with her mother's prayers, propelled her to excel academically. She would often return home with prizes and accolades, beaming with pride. One day, as she walked in with a trophy, her mother's face lit up. Linda, honey, you have done it again. I'm so proud of you, said her mother, hugging her tightly. Thanks, Mom. I couldn't have done it without your support, said Linda. Besides God, her mother was her close friend with whom she shared everything under the sun. When her father retired, they moved to Kerala, where God gifted them a beautiful house in a beautiful place. They were all very happy. Life in Kerala was a completely different experience for her. Unlike the concrete jungles in Bombay, living in Kerala was a whole new experience for her. One fine day, she woke up hearing her mother's cry. Her father had suffered a devastating stroke, leaving him paralyzed for the rest of his life. Their lives turned upside down. Linda and her mother both worked tirelessly to make ends meet, as well as take care of the sick father 24/7. Linda, now in her youth, took on the responsibility of caring for her father. As she sat beside her father's bedside, holding his hand, Linda's mother came in, exhausted. Linda, dear, how's Dad? Linda looked up, tears welling up in her eyes. He's not responding, Mom. I'm so scared. Her mother sat down beside her, wrapping a comforting arm around her shoulders. We'll get through this, Linda. We'll be strong for Dad. In the midst of chaos, she found solace in her faith. She would often pray, seeking guidance and strength. One day, as she sat in the small chapel near her house, she poured her heart out to God. Dear God, please help us. We are struggling so much. Give us the strength to carry on. As she prayed, a sense of peace washed over her. She felt a gentle whisper in her heart, urging her to trust God. As days passed by, her father's condition worsened. The stroke left him bedridden. It made him very angry, and he would often lash out at his wife and daughter, the two people who loved him the most. Linda's mother would try to feed him, bathe him, and care for him, but he would push her away, shouting obscenities and curses. Linda would try to talk to him to comfort him, but he would turn his face away, his eyes filled with anger and hatred. Despite his behavior, Linda and her mother continued to care for him, showering him with love and compassion. They would pray for him, asking God to heal his mind and body, to restore him to his former self. But as the days went by, Linda's father's behavior became more and more erratic. He would curse her, telling her that she was worthless and she was the reason for his suffering. She would try to ignore his words, to remind herself that he didn't mean what he was saying, that he was just a sick man. But it was hard. The words cut deep, and she would often find herself crying in her room, feeling hurt and rejected. But she would always turn to God, praying for strength and comfort. She would often pray and find strength in God. With renewed strength and courage, she would face another day. In 2018, a devastating flood hit Kerala. She never expected that the floodwaters would enter her house, which was newly built. But sure enough, it did, and they had to move out to a safer place. The volunteers took Linda's bedridden father in a stretcher to a safer place. Their house was fully immersed in water. Linda's mother didn't know what to do. Linda's mother clutched her hand and said, Linda, darling, we'll get through this. We have each other. Linda also nodded, trying to hold back the tears. I know, Mom, we'll start again. Years went by, and she grew into a compassionate and wise young woman. She became a teacher beloved by her students for her kindness, patience, and unwavering commitment to their well being. As she stood before her classroom, she knew that she had found her true calling to inspire, to educate, and to help her students live a morally good life. One day, as she was teaching a lesson on perseverance, one of her students asked, Miss, how do you stay so strong despite all the challenges you have faced? She smiled, her eyes shining with tears. It's because I've learned to trust in God's plan. He's always with us, guiding us through the tough times. And I've had my family's love and support throughout. As she looked out at the sea of young faces before her, she knew that she had truly found her purpose to spread hope, love, and light in a world that often seemed dark and unforgiving. Thanks for hearing my story. I hope it has inspired you. And thanks for watching. Bye.